It is the middle of the afternoon. The sun is shining. Children are playing outside. Cars pass by slowly on a quiet residential street on Chicago's South Side. And inside a parked car, a young mother is sitting in the front seat.
79th Street in the Auburn-Gresham neighborhood. A witness who we spoke with says he was coming home from work when he saw this shooting. He went to go help those victims who had been shot. That's when he heard and saw an infant crying in the back seat. Somehow that baby uninjured.
Dozens of bullets tear through the car. Glass shatters. Metal rips apart. Neighbors dive for cover. More than 50 shots are fired. When it is over, the young mother is dying. But somehow, incredibly, the baby sitting in the back seat survives without a single injury. No wounds. No scratches. Nothing. How does a toddler survive a storm of bullets that killed her mother? And why would gunmen open fire on a car carrying a mother and a child in broad daylight? Today, we are talking about the heartbreaking and deeply disturbing case of Gabryel Ayers. Before we continue, take a moment to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment below. Your support helps bring attention to cases like this and keeps the stories of victims alive. Gabryel Ayers was more than just a headline. Gabryel Ayers was 26 years old. Friends and family knew her as Gabby. She grew up on Chicago's South Side in the Auburn-Gresham neighborhood, a place where neighbors recognize each other, where families watch out for one another, and where community ties run deep. Gabryel worked as a hairstylist. Anyone who has ever sat in a stylist's chair knows that a hairstylist often becomes more than just someone who cuts hair. They become a listener, a confidant, a friend. Gabryel had that kind of personality. She loved making people feel good about themselves. She loved conversation, laughter, and connection. But above everything else in her life, she loved being a mother. Her baby daughter was the center of her world. Friends say Gabryel was deeply devoted to her child. She talked about her constantly, planned for her future, built her days around caring for her. She was building a life that should have stretched decades into the future. But on a Wednesday afternoon in early February of 2026, everything changed. February 4th, 2026. It was around 1:25 in the afternoon. Gabryel was sitting in the front passenger seat of a white sedan. Behind her, in the back seat, her 14-month-old daughter was strapped safely into her car seat. The driver was Gabryel's boyfriend, 27-year-old Devin Draper. The car was stopped on the 7900 block of South May Street. This was not some isolated highway or empty alley. This was a residential street, just 1 block away from St. Sabina Church. Surveillance cameras in the area later captured what happened next. 3 men suddenly appeared. They were dressed in dark clothing. They ran directly toward the white sedan. And then they opened fire. Bullets ripped into the car from multiple directions. Witnesses reported hearing an overwhelming burst of gunfire. Investigators later recovered more than 50 shell casings from the scene. The car lurched forward as the shooting began. It crashed into a parked GMC van nearby. But the attack did not stop there. According to investigators, the gunmen pulled back briefly. Then they got into a red Alfa Romeo. The car drove up alongside the already damaged sedan. And the attackers fired again. More bullets. More destruction. More chaos. Inside the vehicle, Gabryel Ayers had been struck multiple times. Emergency responders rushed her to the hospital. But her injuries were too severe. She did not survive. Devin Draper, the driver, had also been shot. He suffered a gunshot wound to his arm and another to his leg. Despite the injuries, he survived and was taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. But the most unbelievable detail of this entire case involves the child sitting quietly in the back seat. Investigators discovered shell casings inside the baby's car seat. Inside it, bullets had torn through the vehicle from every direction. Glass was shattered. The car body was riddled with holes. Yet the 14-month-old girl sitting in that seat was physically unharmed. Not a single bullet touched her. The gunmen fled the scene in the red Alfa Romeo. They disappeared into the city. And as the hours passed, investigators began trying to understand why this happened. Who were these men? What was their motive? And was Gabryel Ayers the intended target? Police quickly began reviewing surveillance footage from nearby homes and businesses. The footage confirmed the presence of 3 suspects, all described as black males. 2 wearing grey clothing, 1 wearing black. At least one of the suspects appeared to be carrying a rifle. Another had a handgun. This was not random gunfire. Investigators believe the white sedan itself was the intended target, which raises a chilling possibility. Gabryel Ayers may not have been the person these men were trying to kill. She may have simply been in the passenger seat of a car that someone else wanted destroyed. If that is true, then Gabryel became a victim simply because she was in the wrong place at the wrong moment. Police began working the case through detectives assigned to Chicago's Area 2 Division. They processed the crime scene, collected ballistic evidence, interviewed witnesses, and studied the surveillance footage carefully. Despite the volume of evidence collected, identifying the suspects has proven difficult. The red Alfa Romeo seen in the footage became a major focus of the investigation. Detectives worked to trace the vehicle and determine whether it had been stolen or linked to other crimes. But as weeks passed, no arrests were announced. The case shocked the local community. Residents gathered for vigils near the scene of the shooting. Candles were lit. Flowers were placed along the sidewalk. People prayed together and struggled to understand how such violence could happen in the middle of the day. Gabryel's family members spoke through grief and anger. Her godfather, Kirk Bell, expressed what many were thinking. He questioned how anyone could fire into a car knowing a child was inside. To him, it showed a complete disregard for human life. Community leaders also stepped forward. They called the attackers monsters. They urged anyone with information to come forward.
This young lady was a beautiful young lady with a beautiful child, and life just cut short. For what?
Can relate to what this family is going through, and it's very painful. And it
From where the
just
shooting
reminds me of-
happened was deeply affected. Staff members from the nearby food pantry temporarily closed operations that day for safety reasons. The following morning, they gathered together. They lit a candle. They observed a moment of silence. For many people in that community, the violence felt personal. Because events like this ripple outward. They affect families, neighbors, church members, children walking home from school. Everyone. To encourage witnesses to speak up, a reward was announced. $10,000 from St. Sabina Parish. Another $10,000 from Cook County Crime Stoppers. $20,000 in total for information that could lead to arrests. And the tip could be given anonymously. No name required. City leaders also addressed the tragedy. Chicago's mayor described the killing as another painful reminder of the work still needed to confront gun violence in the city. Community activists emphasized that silence only protects criminals. They urged residents to share anything they might know. even the smallest detail, because someone out there may recognize the car, or the suspect, or remember seeing something unusual that day. As of now, the investigation remains open. No arrests have been announced. The three men seen in surveillance footage that afternoon remain unidentified, which means somewhere out there, the people responsible for firing more than 50 bullets into a car carrying a mother and her child are still walking free. And that is a reality that continues to haunt the community. But amid the heartbreak, there is one detail people keep returning to: the survival of Gabryel's daughter, a 14-month-old child sitting in the center of a bullet storm and somehow escaping unharmed. For many in the community, that survival feels like a miracle.
It's a miracle.
But miracles
that baby was not shot. It's a miracle.
will grow up without her mother. One day she will ask questions. She will want to know who Gabryel Ayers was. And the answer is simple. She was a young woman who loved her child. A woman building a life. A daughter. A friend. A stylist who made people smile. A mother who deserved to watch her baby grow up. Her life was taken in seconds by senseless violence. But her story should never be forgotten. And the people responsible should never be allowed to disappear into the shadows. So now we want to hear from you. What do you think really happened here? Do you believe Gabryel Ayers was the intended target, or was she simply caught in someone else's deadly conflict? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you believe stories like this deserve attention and justice, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, and share it so more people can hear Gabryel's story. Because every time her name is spoken, she is remembered. And Gabryel Ayers deserves to be remembered.